why other states can't be doing. And I know Louisiana, Texas, a couple of them, but we've got if only the red states did this, they would be able to expand their capacity by tens of thousands, maybe 50, 100,000 on a given day. That's how you really start to make a difference. And so we're proud to be able to partner with the Trump administration on that. Mr. President, thanks for coming down. I think you highlighting this is going to move the needle in a big way throughout the country, and I think it's going to help all of us achieve the really big results that I think our voters want to see.
Thank you, Ron. Great job. Thank you. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity. My name is Kevin Guthrie. I'm the Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management. And I'd also like to thank President Trump and the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Noam for joining us here today and for their continued support. I want to thank first by thanking the man to my right, and that's Governor Ron DeSantis, whose bold leadership and swift action made this project possible. Make no mistake, this facility would not be standing here without the President, the Secretary, and the Governor's vision and determination to uphold the rule of law. Florida is and will always be a law and order state. Even before the President took office, the Governor made it clear that illegal immigration would not be tolerated in the state of Florida. When the President and the Secretary asked Florida to help, the Governor empowered our state and private partners to work collaboratively and deliver real results on a rapid timeline. The Florida Division of Emergency Management is best known for leading the nation in hurricane response and other natural disasters. We understand how to act fast without bureaucracy in the face of any emergency. Our teams built roads in 8 hours, bridges in 3 days, base camps in 72 hours, and full causeways in 2 weeks. Getting things done quickly, efficiently, and correctly is at the core of our mission. We simply just want to be the best at what we do in the nation. When the Governor called me, and we answered, and we were proud to bring our logistical expertise to the table. We know how to set up base camps for guardsmen, first responders, linemen, volunteers, and other aid sources, and distribute that in a matter of days before a storm. We're able to translate this knowledge to what we did here at Alligator Alcatraz. Florida has put the best teams together who check their individual logos and egos at the door to get this done. Not just for you, Governor, but Mr. President, for you as well. There are over 13 different vendors that came together to get this solved in 8 days. Truly a whole of private sector partnership to get that done. Behind you on these boards, in only 8 days, we have built a fully compliant detention facility with a detainee capacity of up to 3,000 people, with room for additional capacity if you asked us to do so. The detention facility includes over 158,000 square feet of housing and is a fully aluminum frame structure rated for winds of 110 miles an hour or a high-end Category 2 for those people that don't think that we're taking that into consideration. This is Florida, by the way. Power supply is fully redundant with backup generators in place. We've put a staff village here on site with a capacity of 1,000. Our services are hot meal 3 times a day, 24/7 medical facility, pharmacy, air conditioning, access to indoor and outdoor rec yards, legal and clergy support services, laundry. Our security element is over 200 security cameras throughout the facility, more than 28,000 feet of barbed wire, 400 plus security personnel to include 200 men and women, soldiers and airmen underneath Major General John Haas's command as the Adjutant General of Florida. And it's all surrounded, as you pointed out, Mr. President, by 10 miles of beautiful Florida Everglades. Contingencies, as with all state correctional facilities, we have a hurricane plan. We will not wait for a Cat 2. We will follow our normal evacuation procedures as we do for any other facility statewide in our great state of Florida. We have on-site fire and EMS resources so that we do not we don't burden the locals with any type of response. All in all, sir, this has been a perfect state logistics exercise for this hurricane season. Everything we did here in the last 8 days, God forbid, if we have a hurricane, we're going to do it again. This was a dress rehearsal for us, and we are ready, willing, and able to support you, sir, the governor, secretary, and everything that you need us to do. Just a week ago, it was a taxiway and a runway, and now is a fully functioning facility. We are happy to support you, Mr. President, Governor, Secretary.
Fantastic job. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. President, the Senate and quorum call.
We are not.
Okay. Mr. President, it's been a long road to get to today. More than a year ago, groups of Republican senators and staff began meeting to lay the groundwork for extending tax relief for hardworking Americans if we were given the opportunity. Mr. President, voters gave us that opportunity. And since we took office in January, Republicans have been laser focused on achieving the bill before us today. And now we're here, passing legislation that will permanently extend tax relief for hardworking Americans. Mr. President, that will spur economic growth and more jobs and opportunities for American workers. That will rebuild our military, secure our borders, unleash American energy, and cut waste, fraud, and abuse in federal programs. With this legislation, we're fulfilling the mandate we were entrusted with last November and setting our country and the American people up to be safer, stronger, and more prosperous. Mr. President, no bill of this size comes together without a lot of very hard work. And I want to thank the committee members and the chairman who've worked for so long on this legislation. I also want to thank the committee staff and the leadership staff and the member staff who have put an incredible number of hours in putting this bill together. None of us would be where we are without our staffs. And nowhere in this is this more true than on this bill, which would not have come together without a lot of very late nights and early mornings and long afternoons of tireless work from staffers. And I hope, Mr. President, that they take pride today in what they've helped achieve for the American people. Mr. President, I also want to thank all the individuals who keep the Senate floor running and who worked overtime this weekend during consideration of the bill. That includes the cloakroom staff, the clerks, the doorkeepers, the Capitol Police, and the pages who stayed past the end of their session to help out. I am very, very grateful to all of you. And with that, Mr. President, I hope everyone manages to get some sleep. And I look forward to the House taking up and passing this historic legislation and getting it to the President's desk. Mr. President, I yield the floor. In the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Also Brooks.
Called. But it is really the big, ugly betrayal, and the American people know it. This vote will haunt our Republican colleagues for years to come. Because of this bill, tens of millions will lose health insurance. Millions of jobs will disappear. People will get sick and die. Kids will go hungry, and the debt will explode to levels we have never seen. Also that the billionaires and corporate special interests get a permanent tax break. This bill is so irredeemable that one Republican literally chose to retire rather than vote yes and decimate his own state. But there were many, many senators who felt like he did. They knew how bad it was for their states, but they didn't have the courage, they didn't have the backbone to vote with the people of their states. They voted in obeisance to Donald Trump and his billionaire buddies because, as one of the senators said, we are all afraid, speaking of the Republican senators. One other thing of note, after the back and forth we saw the past 30 hours, those backroom deals, sweetheart negotiations, we found out that Senate Democrats successfully fought a provision that the Senate Republicans were using to try and get Senator Murkowski's vote. The Medicaid provision in question was a handwritten parenthetical notation, not even disclosed to the Dems, that created a special new preference for Alaska. We fought and we won. This is a polar payoff, and it should not have stood, and it didn't. And let me say this. On the Republican side, when the bill passed, there was a bit of somberness that I don't think was expected. And that's because they knew, deep in their hearts, how bad this bill is for them, their states, and the Republican Party. They knew that following Trump would be a very, very bad move for the country and for the Republican Party. When people start losing their Medicaid, when they start losing their jobs, when their electric bills go up, when their premiums go up, when kids and parents lose SNAP funding, the people of America will remember this vote. The American people will remember the Republican betrayal, and Americans will pay the price for this perfidy for generations, generations. So we Democrats fought very, very
Call be
hard.
suspended.
Without objection.
And I have one request for committee to meet during today's session. The Senate has the approval of the majority and minority leaders.
Duly noted.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the junior senator from North Carolina be authorized to sign duly enrolled bills or joint resolutions from July the 1st through July the 7th, 2025.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I move to proceed to executive session and consider calendar number 106.
The questions on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will report the nomination.
Nomination, Department of Energy, Preston Griffith of Virginia to be Undersecretary.
Mr. President, I send a cloture motion to the desk.
The clerk will report.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the nomination of Preston Griffith of Virginia to be Undersecretary of Energy, signed by 17 senators as follows.
President, I ask consent the reading of the names be waived,
Without objection.
and I move to proceed to legislative session.
The questions on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to.
Mr. President, I move to proceed to executive session to consider calendar number 197.
Questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appears to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will report the nomination.
Nomination, Department of Transportation, Brian Bedford of Indiana to be Administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration.
Mr. President, I send a cloture motion to the desk.
The clerk will report.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the nomination of Brian Bedford of Indiana to be Administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration, signed by 17 senators as follows.
Mr. President, I ask consent the reading of the names be waived,
Without objection.
and I move to proceed to legislative session.
The questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to.
Mr. President, I move to proceed to executive session to consider calendar number 81.
Questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will report the nomination.
Nomination, Office of Personnel Management, Scott Cooper of California to be Director.
Mr. President, I send a cloture motion to the desk.
Clerk will report.
Cloture motion. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the nomination of Scott Cooper of California to be Director of the Office of Personnel Management, signed by 17 senators as follows.
Mr. President, I ask consent the reading of the names be waived,
Without objection.
and I move to proceed to legislative session.
The questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to.
Mr. President, I move to proceed to executive session and consider calendar number 58.
Questions on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will report the nomination.
Nomination, Small Business Administration, William Briggs of Texas to be Deputy Administrator.
Mr. President, I send a cloture motion to the desk.
The clerk will report.
Cloture motion, we, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the nomination of William Briggs of Texas to be Deputy Administrator of the Small Business Administration, signed by 17 senators.
Mr. President, I ask consent the reading of the names be waived.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate resume legislative session and be in a period of morning business with senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate completes its business today, adjourn to then convene for pro forma session only with no business being conducted on the following date and time, Thursday, July 3rd at 12 noon. Further, that when the Senate adjourns on Thursday, July 3rd, it stand adjourned until 3 p.m. on Monday, July 7th, that following the prayer and pledge, the morning hour be deemed expired, the journal proceedings be approved to date, the date for the the time for the two leaders be reserved for use later in the day, and the Senate be in a period of morning business with senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each. Finally, notwithstanding Rule 22, the cloture motions filed on July the 1st ripen at 5:30 p.m.
Without objection.
Mr. President, if there is no further business to come before the Senate, I ask that it stand adjourned under the previous order following the remarks of the Democratic leader.
Without objection.
And I'm urging Republican House members, we have 6 in New York. This bill clobbers New York. They should, if they vote for it, they're betraying New York. Thank you, everybody.
Baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill them. People that knife you when you're walking down the street. They're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here too. You want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next job that we'll work on together. But I think getting them out, we forget about them. We had some bad accidents in New York, and they're not accidents. They were done very much on purpose. People being pushed into a subway just before it arrives, going 40 miles an hour. And they're 10 feet away from where the thing is, to get pushed right into the face of the subway train, get whacked and killed. And these are sick people. I'd like to get them out of here too. Yeah, please, go ahead. White shirt, glasses.
Julio Rosas, Blaze Media, sir. A couple months ago, I ran into former DHS Secretary Mayorkas, and I asked him a couple questions about his disastrous handling of the border. He didn't like my questions. But the number one question that I heard from people in responding to my video was, why hasn't he been arrested yet? Obviously you guys are cleaning up the mess that was made deliberately for the past 4 years, and so people want accountability. It's great to see that the border is secured, and it's great to see the state level cooperation, but I guess I would ask you, why hasn't he been held accountable, or anybody really?
Well, you know, pardons were given out by to many people, and they shouldn't have been given out. Like the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs was given a pardon because they destroyed all of the information from 2 years of hearings, and they should be arrested, but they were given pardons. Was he given a pardon, Mayorkas? Was he not?
I don't believe so.
Well, I'd take a look at that one, because what he did is, it's beyond incompetence. Something had to be done. Now, with that being said, he took orders from other people, and he was really doing the orders, and you could say he was very loyal to them, because it must have been very hard for him to stand up and sit up and, talk about what he allowed to happen to this country and be serious about it. So he was given orders. If he wasn't given a pardon, I could see looking at that. In fact, why don't you take a look at it, Kristen? He was impeached, but yeah, it was just a fake impeachment. It was a fake impeachment. Why don't you take a look at it? I think he was so bad. They were all so bad. Look, it was the worst president in the history of our country. We've had some bad ones, but he was the worst president. But somebody told Mayorkas to do that, and he followed orders, but that doesn't necessarily hold him harmless. So take a look at it. Very good question, actually. Thank you. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, you and the Secretary have both said that many people have self-deported since you came back into office.
Yeah.
How many is many, and has the rate gone up? How do you see the tempo of that moving forward
Sure.
going on?
We have had several 100,000, but also we have many that have self-deported, not even using the CBP Home app. When I have gone to these other countries to negotiate security agreements and information sharing on criminals, who's coming and going into their countries, they report that hundreds of thousands have come home that weren't on our radar, that they are coming home on their own and self-deporting because they want the chance to be able to go back to America someday. So we believe it's over 1 million, possibly more than that. I'm asking all of those countries for their information on what they have of individuals that may have returned home, that they have taking advantage of their programs to help them become a part of their civilization again too. So we know it's over 1 million, but we have to, I'm getting more information, and that number will grow.
If they don't leave, they never get the chance to come back. If we have to take them out, and we will, they'll go out, but they never get a chance to come back. The other way, we actually make it a little bit easier for them to come back. Okay? Thank you. Good question. Thank you.
The bill is now passed in the Senate, but we are already hearing from some Republicans in the House who say they cannot get on board with the changes that were made to the bill in the Senate. What is your message to those holdouts?
Well, I just heard that about the Senate, and the bill just passed, and it tells you there's something for everyone. I mean, it's a great bill. There is something for everyone, and I think it's going to go very nicely in the House. Actually, I think it will be easier in the House than it was in the Senate.
And just to be clear, on the Medicaid cuts, you've promised not to cut Medicaid, said this is all just targeting waste, fraud, and abuse. Are you saying that the estimated 11.8 million people who could lose their health coverage, that is all waste, fraud, and abuse?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's going to be a very much smaller number than that, and that number will be waste, fraud, and abuse. And if you look, they took a much more liberal stance on the Medicaid situation than they could have. They had a tough stance and a weak stance. They took not a very strong stance on that to start off, and it's waste, fraud, and abuse, and everybody wants that covered.
What number is that? What analysis are you seeing?
I'm not seeing a number, but I know it's much less than the number you gave, and we really were very, very cognizant of three things. Social Security, we're going to take care of it beautifully. Medicare and Medicaid, and we are going to save it, whereas the Democrats are going to, you won't have it. They will destroy Medicare and Medicaid, and they have to because their numbers don't work. So it's not going to happen. They're the ones that have destroyed Medicare. They have made it so bad already, they're going to make it a lot worse. But now we'll be in charge, so we're going to have no problem with Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security. Thank you. Yeah.
Claire Gall with Wink News in Fort Myers. What is your direction to ICE when it comes to arresting farm workers here illegally, other workers in industries that are pretty critical to Florida's economy?
Yeah. Well, we're very much cognizant of that, and as you know, I won the farmers by 92%, and I'm not going to be abandoning my farmers. We were strong on the borders, but we're also strong for the farmers and for others in the hotel industry, et cetera. You know, we have similar situations. And Christie and I, and we'll be working with Ron and a lot of the states. We're going to work something where the farmers can be responsible for some of the people that have, and they have people, Ron, for 10, 15 years that they know very well. We're going to put them responsible and we're going to issue a form of a card or document, and the farmer's going to be responsible for these people. They're not going to have citizenship, but they'll be working, they'll be paying taxes. We need to get our farmers the people they need, otherwise our farmers aren't going to be able to do their land.
Mr. President, today, Senate Republicans betrayed the American people and covered this chamber in shame. In one fell swoop, Republicans passed the biggest tax breaks for billionaires ever seen, paid for by ripping health care away from millions of Americans, taking food out of the mouth of hungry kids. This is not a big, beautiful bill at all. That is why I moved on the floor to strike the title. It is now called the Act, but it is really a big, ugly betrayal. Because of this bill, tens of millions will lose health insurance. Millions of jobs will disappear. People will get sick and die. Kids will go hungry. And the debt will explode to levels we have never seen. All so that billionaires and corporate special interests get a permanent tax break. This is not what the country needs. This is not what the American people want. And I must say this, Republicans bent and twisted and pushed the rules and the norms of the Senate to get this bill done, and they have done grave damage to this chamber when they did it. All just so they can pass tax breaks for billionaires. Today's vote will haunt our Republican colleagues for years to come as the American people see the damage that is done, as hospitals close, as people are laid off, as costs go up, as the debt increases. They will see what our colleagues have done, and they will remember it. And we Democrats will make sure they remember it. The American people will not forget the betrayal that took place today. I yield the floor. Note the absence of a quorum.
Will the senator withdraw his request?
I withdraw my request.
Under the previous order, the Senate stands adjourned until 12 noon on Thursday.
And so Senate lawmakers have passed the GOP tax and spending cuts legislation on a vote of 51 to 50. Vice President J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote. Republican Senators Collins, Paul, and Tillis voted no, with all Democrats. Senators worked on the bill through this past weekend, yesterday, and today. Democrats called for Senate staff to read the entire bill on the Senate floor, which took over 15 hours, and a number of amendments were also voted on. The GOP tax and spending legislation includes an extension of the 2017 tax cuts, spending cuts, and it funds the president's defense and border security priorities. The bill now heads to the House for consideration. Before that, though, the House Rules Committee will meet this afternoon to craft rules for debating the tax and spending bill. Watch live coverage today at 1:30 Eastern over on C-SPAN. House leadership has asked for members to be available for votes as early as 9 a.m. tomorrow, and you can watch that debate on C-SPAN. Of course, live coverage of the U.S. Senate is here on C-SPAN 2.
Looking to contact your members of Congress? Well, C-SPAN is making it easy for you with our 2025 Congressional Directory. Get essential contact information for government officials all in one place. This compact, spiral-bound guide contains bio and contact information for every House and Senate member of the 119th Congress, contact information on congressional committees, the President's Cabinet, federal agencies, and state governors. The Congressional Directory costs $32.95 plus shipping and handling, and every purchase helps support C-SPAN's nonprofit operations. Scan the code on the right or go to cspanshop.org to order your copy today.
a nation divided, a rare moment of unity. This fall, C-SPAN presents Ceasefire, where the shouting stops and the conversation begins in a town where partisan fighting prevails. One table, two leaders, one goal, to find common ground. This fall, Ceasefire, on the network that doesn't take sides, only on C-SPAN.